I've now reviewed 7, that's right, 7 of the Johnnie Walker core lineup. The red, the black, the double black, that's the one, the gold reserve, the green, the 18-year, and finally the infamous Johnnie Walker Blue. So in this episode, we're going to rank them in 2 ways. If money is no object, from best to worst, and then we're going to pick the best value one overall. Let's get to it. This is Whiskey Whiskey, I'm John Chidgey. Always remember to drink responsibly, in moderation, and where and when appropriate. Feel free to like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Visit engineer.network/whiskey, without the E, to learn how you can support the show. Thank you. Now, before anyone says anything about it, I know there are many other releases from Johnnie Walker in the core range, like King George V, Black Ruby, and Johnnie Walker Swing, not to mention the raft of travel exclusives, sherry editions, limited editions like the Ice and Fire series, the Squid Game one that really just came out recently, and there are many, many blues for different years of the whatever. I even tried one of the Game of Thrones releases before, the infamous White Walker, and ranges come and go with time, so instead I focused on the core of the core range that have been there for at least a decade or more and are quite readily available in the market wherever you are. Before we get to the rankings, we need to quickly reset and cover each of their vital stats. And rather than say it ad nauseum, no Johnnie Walkers I've tried are natural colour. They're all coloured. And they're also all chill filtered. Additionally, all the prices that I mention in the following pit, they're going to be in Australian dollars. And all of them can be sourced from Dan Murphy's unless I specifically mention otherwise. They're all considered to be core range whiskies, and they are all bottled right on the floor at 40% ABV, because of course, they're Johnnie Walker. Firstly, the Johnnie Walker Red Label retails for $45 and has no age statement. The Black Label goes for $54 and carries a 12-year age statement. The Double Black, full-size version of this one, it goes for $69 from Liquorland and has no age statement. The Gold Reserve goes for $120 and has no age statement. The Green Label costs $116 and carries a 15-year age statement. The 18-year is $181 and, well, it has an 18-year age statement, obviously. And finally, the Blue Label. It costs $300 and it has no age statement either. So, if money was no object, and you based it solely on the quality, the simple choice is blue. I mean, let's be honest, it's the only Johnnie Walker that I rated with a quality of 4. I've got a little bit of the blue here, and on the nose, I mean, it's quite complex, with toffee and nuts and on the palate, it's not quite as complex as the nose, but there's a strong hazelnut vanilla. The toffee fades into a honey, light orange, light lemon. It's well balanced and it's well rounded. But to my palate, it's not quite as smooth as the 18-year. Mouth feels a little bit more oily than creamy. It has a moderate finish. The honey sort of fades into a light smokiness at the end of it all. And overall, my notes with the blue are that here's a bloody nice whiskey. It's rather lovely. And I stand by that statement. I'm not re-reviewing it today. In terms of value, though, this whole lineup is a very different story. I feel like we have to put the red out of the equation, just for starters. It's just not a very nice scotch at all. No mixes, no conversation, no discussion, no. The blue, at the other end of the cost spectrum, is very, very expensive, and so's the 18-year for that matter. So I think it's only fair to cut them out. They have to be truly exceptional to justify the price. So that leaves, in roughly the middle-ish, in the value end of the spectrum anyway, that leaves the black, the double black, and they had a quality rating from me of 2, and the green and the Gold Reserve, and they had a quality of 3. So what I think we'll do is we'll split them into those 2, quality of 2 and quality of 3. So there are 2 price brackets to consider. The black and the double black are $54 and $69 respectively. That's a $15 difference or a $61.50 average price. Call that your lower price bracket. And I rated both as a quality of 2. The green and the Gold Reserve are $116 and $120 respectively, which is a massive $4 difference, or $118 average. So call it the middle price bracket, and I rated both of those as a 3. So I suggest we try and pick a winner in each bracket, and then we'll let them both fight it out. So, for the lower price bracket, a quality of 2, starting with the black. On the nose, it had black pepper, vanilla, light smoke, faint toffee and faint vanilla. For the mouthfeel, it was very slightly creamy and it disappears quickly on the palate, expecting a bit of toffee and orange citrus on it. The finish is quite short, with a faint orange citrus scent. My overall notes, maybe a staple, an everyday sipper, perhaps. Alas, I have not got any of my black sample left. However, in this glass, I do have a double black. So on the double black on the nose, it's quite a decent sweet smoke. It does dissipate pretty quickly though, and I do get a bit of citrus, like an orange citrus, and a bit of and you get that dried apricot as well, and a bit of a faint vanilla. So for the mouthfeel, slightly buttery, slightly creamy oiliness, a bit of a citrus edge with that vanilla. And the finish, it's moderate, and you can get that nice peatiness sort of. It's not super strong, but it certainly is much stronger than any of the others. So my overall notes at the time, I'm that it's one of the smokier blends. Certainly one of the smokier. It is the smokiest Johnnie Walker that I've had, and it really is quite delightfully pleasant to drink it. I rated it slightly above the Black Label, and honestly, on a retaste, like I stand by that. My pick for the lower bracket is the double Black Label, so I'm going to stick with that. Now, the middle price brackets at a quality of 3, starting with the Gold Reserve. On the nose, it has a nice honey note, very faint smokiness, and a slightly burnt toffee. The mouth feels creamy, and for the palate has like a nice vanilla and a toffee with sweet, sort of faint honey. For the finish, it has like a moderate length finish and a slight smokiness. Overall, my notes were that, it's not that bad, it's pretty respectable, and it's very smooth. That was my recollection of the Gold is just how smooth and delightful that was. Now for the Green Label, which alas I don't have any more of my sample for that one, unfortunately. I only had a small sample of that. On the nose, it was bright and delightful, floral with a hibiscus scent. Its mouthfeel has a nice creaminess, and you're able to chew on it just a little bit. It's probably the chewiest of them. But on the palate, it's delightful. It's very malty. It's got a very subtle brininess to it, and with some vanilla. And on the finish, it's a moderate length finish. It's got a mild heat to it, a bit of oakiness, and a very thin sort of smokiness right at the very tail end of that finish. And my overall notes on the green were that it was quite good, and unlike any other Johnnie Walker I've ever tried, completely different from all the rest. Now, I rated it at the time above the Gold Reserve, and honestly, I think I'm going to stick with that. So my pick for the middle bracket remains the Green Label. So now we're down to 2. So if you just pause for 1 second, I did a ranking based on quality alone, just based on what sat above the others before I get to the final picks. My final choice of the best value Johnnie Walker in their core range. So at the very bottom, coming in at number 7, a quality of 1 was the Red Label. It's really not that nice, and I'm never ever gonna. It's not for me. Coming in at number 6 is a Black. Johnnie Walker Black Label, a quality of 2. Also a quality of 2, but above it at a 5 overall is the Double Black. Above that, we now get into the qualities of 3. The number 4 position is the Gold Reserve. And on the 3 position, that's also a quality of 3, is the Green Label, 15 year. And at a number 2, we go up to the 18 year at a quality level of 3. And finally, of course, number 1 for quality is the Blue. But if you flip this now and try and pick a winner, and if I have to summarize, the lower bracket winner for me is the Double Black Label. The middle is the Green Label. And there's no doubt in my mind that the green is the better choice in terms of quality, but is it really worth double the price? And I hate to give a split answer, but I have to go with, if you're heavily budget constrained, then the Double Black is the boldest, smokiest blended scotch for the money out of the whole range. Now, if you've got some extra money, then spending it on the green, it's pretty well worth it. I think it's worth the extra money. But if I had to give the best value for money, I'm sorry, but it has to go to the Double Black. It is so much more affordable, and it is a fantastic blended scotch. So that's it. And that's all for my exploration of the core range of Johnnie Walkers. And now, I have a little bit left of the 2 of my picks. This one's the Double Black. And I've got some blue, just to finish it off. And I'm going to enjoy them. Maybe I'll get a bottle of it at some point. Cheers. See you next time. all black.